Good evening and welcome to the January 27th, 2026 meeting of the East Long Meadow Town Council. I'll call the meeting to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I would ask that we take a brief moment of silence to reflect on all of the events going on, both here and abroad. Thank you. In accordance with Mass General Law, this meeting is being recorded by LCAT, and if there's anyone else in the audience recording, if you could identify yourself. Seeing none. Public comments. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to make a comment? I see no one physically here and no one on Zoom. Council comments. The one that I have this evening is just to thank you to our town's DPW for the great job they did on our roads. I know driving through some of the surrounding communities, especially to work this morning, others were not as well done. So thank you to our town. Any other council comments? Great. Town manager report. Hi, Tom.
Hi. The ink's still wet. Good evening. So attached to this report are 3 weeks of progress reports from the high school natatorium the week of January 5th, 12th, and 19th. Keep trying to think of things to say, and I sound like a broken record at this point, but just watching the progress of the whole thing in real time is quite remarkable, and seeing the updates every week is just unbelievable. And obviously now we're in the calendar year when we're going to have this high school open to the kids. So it just keeps getting more and more exciting. Again, you can always find this information on eastlongmeadowma.gov/ELHS building project, scheduling and progress and the whole bit. Most of the country was interrupted this weekend due to Winter Storm Fern that dumped almost 20 inches of snow here in East Long Meadow. I still can't get used to that. We're naming the winter storms now. I almost wrote Tropical Storm Fern, which is obviously would have been inaccurate. I'll echo those same sentiments. Thank you to our DPW. Not only the amount of snow, but the duration of which I think you can imagine a lot of people spent a lot of hours making it so. So I want to thank them too for a job well done. Again, I went up there this morning, a lot of tired eyes, a lot of phone calls, there's still a lot to do. So, but we are appreciative of the job our Department of Public Works does. Both in the field and indoors. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it. So in the aftermath of a storm that big, this is going to be a whole nother project this week. Clearing sidewalks, intersections, hauling snow away. I can't see Chipotle when I park my car because there's a massive pile of snow in town hall. So if you have questions or concerns or issues that come up, please call the DPW. The office number 525-5400, extension 1200. And the reason I asked is they'll put a work order in for this work, and it just helps us track everything to make sure every issue gets a work order, it gets assigned to somebody, and then closed out when it's done. This helps us track all this information for this storm, future storms, and just to make sure we don't miss out on anything. So again, be a little bit patient here for the rest of the week because the crews will be out pushing back snowbanks and doing whatever they can to fill these work orders. Obviously, there's probably some new potholes opened up, and so we'll be out for most of this week trying to get rid of and handle this snow safely. So be patient, please. Kim, Rebecca, and I attended the MMA annual meeting, aptly named the Connect 351, a little rebrand. Held in Boston Thursday to Saturday. About 1,400 local leaders from across the Commonwealth went to the Menino Convention Center. I also got to bump into Councilor Leiden, which was nice, friendly face. There was a lot of workshops, trade show, big, huge trade show. Guest speakers, the governor, lieutenant governor, the keynote speaker. I kept telling, it's one of my favorite things to watch people that know how to public speak. Like, it's a hard thing to do. And the keynote speaker was Dr. Tim Shriver, who gave a message about communicating and doing so with dignity, and not just yours, but the person you're talking with. So it kind of sort of hit home in the sort of the times we live in, where we sort of always talk about the civil discourse as sort of gone by the wayside in certain situations. And so this was talking about, just having a nice conversation. The governor also gave us some good news. It looks like the Chapter 90 funding level we saw last year, we're going to try to keep that in the budget, which was that 50% increase from prior years, and an increase in state aid of 4.4% over last year. So thanks to the MMA, Mass Municipal Association. They're a huge advocate for all 351 communities in Massachusetts. So thank you to them for putting on another well-run and informative event. We're all our budget stuff. Speaking of the budget, level 1 budgets were submitted Friday. So finance is compiling all that information into sort of a working document where we can wrap our heads around the initial submissions and meet with department heads that we need to meet with, which will most likely be everyone, even some of the ones that maybe we wouldn't put on the list. We have a lot of new department heads and a lot of people submitting their first budget. So there's bound to be some questions and clarifications, and no, don't do that. I promise I won't do too much, but so after that, we'll have a pretty good overview of what we're going to look like. We have some good estimates on most of our numbers. So I'm hoping even before the draft on April 1 this year, we can chat about some goals and directions based on where we sit in late February or something like that. And then I'm going to end on a more somber note, I guess. Really sad to report the passing of our Historical Commission Chairperson, Tom Behan. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time. He passed away unexpectedly this weekend. I could probably talk about Tom all night. I'm sure most of you could too. I guess I'll just say that for those of us that were fortunate enough to be around him and have him in our lives, we're going to miss his kind soul, warm smile, and his genuine love for his community and every person in it. It's a big loss for the whole town of East Long Meadow, and he'll be missed. So that's it.
Thank you, Tom. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Through the chair.
Sure, Ralph.
I just wanted to bring up, I know we had this horrific storm. For the residents that have a fire hydrant in front of their house, if they have the ability to clean it out, it would greatly help. I know a lot of times the fire department goes out and tries to clean as many as they can, but if you have the ability to and you have it there, hopefully it's never needed.
Right.
But it's nice if they can get to it if it is needed. And then one last thing, I know the town's moving snow. I know in the past, superintendent of the DPW, a prior one, had asked about using the Brown Farm for storage of snow. And I don't know if that's been thought of or not. It's got a huge parking lot up there.
Okay.
For the most part, it's not used in the winter.
Okay.
So they've piled snow up there in the past, and it seems to be convenient, easy in, easy out access. So I just wanted to throw that out for for your thoughts.
That's good. I'll talk to them about the possibility of that. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they have places that they go now, and believe me, when
They're gonna be full.
well, I went to talk to Bruce this morning, and I was totally intended on not talking to him for a while, because I know that they're busy. Of course, the temperature at town hall was 48 degrees, so I had to talk to him about something. But we'll sort of probably have a debrief like in the next couple days with Daryl, and so I'll bring that up as a
One of
possibility
those
for sure.
town properties that a lot of times we just forget that we have it.
Well, and
And again, we put in a huge parking lot that's gravel
Yep.
that worked beautiful in the past for it. so.
and a school right across the street that they got to haul snow out of. So yeah, no, that's
Exactly.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, there are no communications, correspondence, or announcements that I have. We have no public hearings, so we'll move to orders of the day. Our first one under financial matters is accepting a $1,000 donation from Bay Path University. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the donation in the amount of $1,000 from Bay Path University to support the East Long Meadow Fire Department per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. The comment that I would have is thank you to Bay Path again
Path,
for their
again.
support of both the police and fire departments now. And then since we are in a hybrid meeting this evening, all votes will be roll call. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
John?
I'm a yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Bay Path. Sorry for all that confusion.
It confused me just as much. Our next under financial matters was just an update with our transparency bylaw that we had put into effect this past year. Part of that was to post the yearly town employee wages on the website under the transparency tab, and 2025 was compiled and is now on the website as well. Of course, it was in your packets for your research, so no other action, but just as an update that we've completed that milestone in the bylaw. Okay, next we have approval of our January 13th, 2026 open session minutes.
I move to approve the January 13th, 2026 open session minutes.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. I think the one discussion point that I would have is they were good overall. The only thing I would like to see is under the point where we were having the discussion about the Centertown district and we had the link to the meeting on YouTube. I think it's fine to have the link, but it would still be helpful if we included just a couple bullet points of what the overall discussion was in the text format.
I'd like to go one step further, and, the link could really provide an opportunity to see the entire meeting, which is covered by our minutes. However, I'm not sure how Mass General Laws even looks at that, because I looked up the statute a couple of years ago for my own research, and I thought the written word had to show enough of a summary so that if you weren't at the meeting, you would know what was going on.
Right.
And so I don't think that would satisfy, but I was disappointed. I was going to sit down and read it. I didn't have 15 minutes to watch the video. So anyway,
Should we amend the motion?
okay, I move we amend the motion to provide an adequate summary for the discussion regarding the Centertown district.
Second.
Do we just want to, further discussion?
Sure.
Do we just want to postpone the acceptance of
That's-
the minutes until that point?
Until
Yeah,
it's
we could
cleaned up.
postpone to our next meeting and then,
Probably the easiest way to do it.
And so the general marching order would be to actually summarize in a minute form.
Like everything,
yeah, we don't need pages and pages of what all the discussion
not
was,
verbatim, no.
but just
No,
some of the topics.
Yeah, yep, okay. Just want to make sure we do it one
So
more.
if everyone is okay with rescinding their motions in seconds,
Yep.
Yes.
okay,
Thank you.
we'll take that on at our next meeting. Is there a motion for our January 13th executive session minutes?
I move to approve the January 13, 2026 executive session minutes.
I second that.
Motion made, seconded, and thirded. Any other discussion? These ones look great to me. Thank you. Seeing none. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next under old business, we had our standard placeholder for the 250th anniversary. I don't know if anyone has anything else since our last meeting for it.
We'll have to regroup and we'll have a better update next week.
I'm sure Tom was involved in that much.
Very
In
much
a
so.
very, very big way, yep.
Do we want someone in particular to look at banners and see what the cost would be? Like what we did at the 125th?
Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea.
To put on the light poles?
Exactly. And I don't know how many we did at the 125th or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
At least
idea.
that way there we have a cost basis for it and
Yep.
Was there still one banner hanging somewhere? Town hall?
My conference room,
That's what I thought. Okay, so you know the size.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Thank you, Ralph.
Okay.
Okay. Next under old
Go
business.
somewhere.
All right, next under old business, we had revisiting the proposed charter amendment relative to multiple bylaw changes simultaneously. So for both this item and the next item, I had prepared two multi-page documents to kind of recap the summary of the timeline, in part because I was losing track of what we did and when we did it over the last year.
Very good.
So I'll just go through the quick synopsis too for the benefit of the public who's
Thank you.
following along. So this started originally around February 11th of 2025. So at that time, Ralph had put together some draft language for us to consider. The impetus behind this was in our charter, every 10 years, we have to review all the town's bylaws and potentially take action on them. But if we were to take action on them, normally we have the provision in the charter that we have to act on things as single topics rather than one big collection. And if these things spanned different topics that we were considering changing throughout this 10-year review cycle, that would be a lot of public hearings and added cost to the town, never mind the fact that it would take forever for us time-wise to actually go through all of these things in a public setting. And so the proposed language to change at that time would be to allow the council just for that 10-year review cycle to act on these sort of recodification activities as one unit rather than separate bylaw actions. And we already had a provision in the charter that allowed us to do that, but it was just for the original recodification when we switched forms of government, and we sort of had forgotten to include this 10-year review cycle period in that.
Did we reflect the same language as we did originally for the request?
it's almost identical.
It was pretty much
Okay,
identical, it
all
just
right.
included the 10-year cycle in addition to
Yeah,
the
interesting
the
that
first
it-
part.
It passed then, but it didn't this time, okay.
Exactly. And so beyond that February meeting, then in March, we had a special town council meeting to approve language to amend the charter with the section that would have been changed, which was Article 2, Section 2-6, Town Bylaws. And then from that point, even though the council votes on it, it's not something that takes effect because the voters have to approve what the council is recommending as a modification to our home rule charter. So then, back in March of last year, after that first meeting that we had voted on the language, that has to go to the Attorney General's office to make sure that everything is correct with that, and they approved it. And so then we At that time, our clerk Jeannie had put together two different options of language that could appear on the ballot and sent that to our town council, legal, not this council,
SEL.
for his opinion. Because ultimately in Mass General Law, it has to be the town's legal counsel that dictates what would appear on the ballot for something like that. And it was his opinion that the language be, shrunken, put in a more concise form on the ballot, which is what we ended up with last June 3rd of 2025. Ultimately, there were 631 yes votes, 658 no votes, 116 blanks. So it marginally failed. We could come up with reasons as to why, but it's probably because the language was almost too vague in the ballot question and made it sound like we were giving ourselves very broad authority when it was specific just to this 10-year review cycle. So that leads us to today, the town council's bylaw review committee that we formed last year has been meeting since, and will have its report and recommendations to the council within the next few months. But if we take no further action, it'll probably be hard to actually implement any of those recommended changes if we're to undertake them individually, or if we did, it would just be maybe a couple things that we felt were the most important and the rest would get skipped. So that leads us to the question of, do we try the ballot question again and try to amend the charter? Only because if we were to go down that path, we have that time frame where we have to vote on the language for it to make it on the ballot in time for.
Through the chair, Ralph, how far are you along in the process?
The general bylaws have all been gone through. We're still touching up on a couple of the departments. We've asked for feedback from them. We have a working document with numerous changes, but most of the changes are more format type changes, like the location of the annual report that's required from each department. Sometimes it was listed the number 2 thing in the department, other times it was at the end. So what we've tried to do is collaborate and put it all together in a simple format. Few name changes.
It sounds like there's sufficient that we should probably try.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And there were some departments too that had like multiple divisions, even though they really weren't division based anymore. And then others didn't have it when they should have had it. And
right.
I think a lot of it was reorganization and making it consistent, not like we're
There's
greatly
well over
changing.
100 changes. I mean, easily, especially when you add in the commas.
Gotta be grammatically correct.
And another thing too is this isn't just for this time.
It's for-
Going forward every 10 years. 10 years is quite an amount of time, and a lot of things changes in that time. Like I said, whether it be, adjusting departments or something like that, or, so I'm just thinking for the future. I think we should put the question back. My only concern, and again, as we go through the process, it would be the final language that makes it to the ballot.
Right.
Because I will be truthful, I read that 3 times. I was the one that proposed the initial change and all, and I didn't understand what the ballot question was asking for. And if you're this involved with it and you cannot figure it out,
Then,
I'm surprised it was as close as it was.
Yeah.
I agree. We would definitely need to try to finesse some of the language to make it not too much lengthier where it's hard to understand, but at least more clear about what we're actually asking for here.
Right. And again, I think a lot of people were concerned that, well, they just want to do away with the public hearing. They don't want us to have any input. And that's not the case. We have to still hold public hearings on it. And again, it's just that we're able to vote on, we're going to change 52 commas. Is that okay with everyone? Instead of going through separate, well, this, we're going to, like I said, I just think, I think a lot of people are concerned. They feel as though, well, there's no transparency. And I just want everyone to know that the public hearing still has to be held. You're gonna be able to look through strikeouts and everything and see what was there, what we're proposing for changes. And if you don't like it, you can speak up, we'll set it aside, we'll go to the next, and then we'll come back and walk through each one.
Right, I think that's a good point to make, that it's not as if this provision would get rid of any of the public input. It just makes it so we don't have to have that public input process 100 times. We can do it as one original advertisement, and instead of trying to publish 400 pages in a newspaper, we can post a summary, and here's how to go find all of the information that is publicly available and accessible in the clerk's office, on the website, etc. And as you pointed out, if there's things that there's any disagreement over, we can always take that particular item out of the package, vote on the rest, and then handle the disparities
Right.
after the fact. So, given that, I had included in that packet the language that we voted on last time, which was on page 3, and it's also in the motions as well. So if we wanted to proceed and start the process with it, it's there, but I'll leave that up to the council's pleasure.
So one of the questions I have on procedures
Sure.
is this language has already been vetted through our town attorney. The necessary changes have already been made. Is this something that still has to go to our town attorney so that he can look and go, hey, I think I already said yes last year? That'll be so much.
Yeah.
And again, I know it still has to go through the Attorney General for their okay on it. But again, if the language hasn't changed, it should almost be a rubber stamp process. I'm just not sure if it has to go through our town attorney.
I think we have his written opinion on, and I think that's good enough to get, that, there's no sort of statute of limitations on his opinion of the language.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think because we're not even changing a word of what we said previously. I'm sure when it gets to the, after everything is approved and then it's the ballot language stuff, then we can go back to him and figure things out there. But at least in terms of what we would be forwarding his way this time, yeah.
It would be my thought that we go through and vote on it and let's get the process started.
Yeah, that way there it gives us a month to figure out the rest rather than down to the last minute like last year.
That's when everything gets done.
Exactly. And I would entertain a motion.
That the Town of East Long Meadow Home Rule Charter be amended by removing the last paragraph of Article 2, Section 2-6, Town Bylaws, and replacing it with the following language. I realize it was this long. Notwithstanding the above, the revision or recodification of general bylaws and related legislation commenced by the Town Council pursuant to Article 9, Section 9-3 of the Charter, along with any qualifying amendments or new bylaws proposed as part of that process, be voted on by as a single subject being proposed. Any vote pursuant to Article 9, Section 9-3 shall be preceded by the publication of a reasonable synopsis of the proposed changes in a local publication or newspaper at least 14 days prior to any such vote. A comprehensive record reflecting the entire scope and contents of the changes shall be available for review in the office of the town clerk and on the town website at least 14 days prior to any such vote on the proposed changes. Any proposed recodification will not require the use of strikeout type, brackets, or underscoring as set forth herein or reformatting, renumbering, or retitling existing sections and making grammatical changes. Any proposed changes, additions, or removal of language to the bylaw shall require the use of strikeout type, brackets, underscoring, or marginal notes in such a way as to clearly identify the changes being proposed. Approval of any qualifying amendments or new bylaws shall require an affirmative vote of the majority of the full town council, except as otherwise provided by the general laws or this charter. Nothing in this paragraph shall relieve the town or town council of its obligations to comply with the applicable state laws regarding approval or amendment of bylaws, including specifically compliance of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, with respect to any and all local zoning bylaws.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. The further discussion, I forgot to add in my summary too, in my research, since all of this had happened last year as well. In terms of ballot question, there is a Mass General Law that I don't believe we've opted into that could. I'm not even sure if we should, because it would affect like everything that we do, not just this particular topic. MGL Chapter 53, Section 18B, and Provision B of B, essentially would require and allow a town to not only post the text of the question on the ballot, but they could also provide a one-sentence sort of summary of what a yes vote would do versus what a no vote would do, which is similar to how when state ballot questions are out there, you get that red packet in the mail that describes all the questions and kind of gives you the pro and con of everything. This would allow the town to do that with local ballot questions, but of course we would have to do that for any sort of question going forward, not just this particular topic. And then there's also provisions in there that you have to solicit feedback from the proponents and the opponents, and there may be more work involved than desired. And so we don't have to decide that now, but it's something to think about. Any other discussion?
Can you just say that general law again?
Oh, yeah.
Watching Ralph write it, and I did.
Subsection B, 53, 18B, subsection B.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just was watching you.
I'll email you.
Why am I not writing it?
We are on LCAT.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, this is a roll call. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And John?
I'm a yes.
Motion passes.
Second try.
Okay, then our next topic under old business was the proposed annual town election ballot question relative to recreational marijuana. So similarly, I put together a timeline for this one as well, since this has been an ongoing thing. So back in around the same time of February of last year as well, it had been originally thought that we needed to have a ballot question to ask the voters to either confirm or overturn what had originally been voted on by the voters back in 2017 to prohibit marijuana sales in East Long Meadow recreationally, since they had, as the voters originally enacted that prohibition. But then after subsequent opinion by the town's legal counsel back on around between February and April, it was then determined that we actually didn't have to do that because the Mass General Law only requires the ballot question if you're prohibiting it, but it really makes no determination if you're not prohibiting it, and therefore kind of reversing a prohibition, that you have to seek voter approval to do so. But this council had felt that it would be appropriate, given that it wasn't a close call back in 2017, that we wanted the public's input on the question. But since it wasn't something that we had to do, it wouldn't necessarily be a binding question. So after some discussion and different options that we considered.
What about this language here?
So that was, in his opinion as well, he made two determinations. One was that we didn't need a ballot question to do so, but the second part was that the citizens petition that we had to kind of start this whole process couldn't be added to the ballot last June in time because it was missing the social equity provision of the proposed bylaw change.
Right.
That was required by the cannabis statute.
So that piece couldn't have been lawfully adopted either.
Correct.
Right, so even if we had met the timeline components and didn't necessarily do it the council's ballot question way, it still couldn't have been adopted in the form that it was at that time. Now, had the provisions been in there and everything aligned with Mass General Law, it could have happened at that time, but we kind of missed the cutoff at that point to correct it. So then, after it had not been able to be on the ballot last June, we had some additional discussions with the folks that had brought the petition to us last summer in the August timeframe. And at that time, the council had, after some different options that we had, decided that we wanted to proceed with a non-binding question so that we would still be asking the public for their input before sort of unilaterally going in our own direction and voting on the topic. So that leads us to now, again, similarly, because we're at ballot question time deadlines, if we still want to add that as a non-binding question to the ballot, and then that would appear on the June 2nd, 2026 local election ballot for the voters to say yes or no to. Since it is non-binding, it wouldn't hold the council to whatever the yes or no, but I think it was our intent that barring something being super close or out of the ordinary, it's not as if we're gonna do the exact opposite that the residents wanted.
So curious with the non-binding ballot question language, where did the language come from? Did you draft it?
That was just something that I drafted as a sample.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was our attorney or not, so.
Nope, that was just me.
So if we go forwards with it, I'd make some suggestions on the language. I would simply say, as a non-binding question, shall the East Long Meadow Town Council repeal the 2017 voter-approved ban on recreational marijuana sales in East Long Meadow? And that way there it's straightforward, it's easily understood, and it's non-binding.
Could you say that again? Just.
I was going to say that.
So it'll start, shall East Long Meadow Town Council repeal the 2017 voter-approved ban on recreational marijuana sales in East Long Meadow. I'm just taking out a few of the words.
Again, you're good.
I think that's good enough of us.
Good idea.
Is it important to let the voters know that the outcome is non-binding?
I think
Put that in there.
Yeah, I think it goes under the heading of non-binding
Okay.
ballot question, I'm assuming, right?
that's what I'm not sure how it ultimately gets formatted. If it ends up under a heading or if we have to put that in the question. And see.
Yeah, that may
It's in the question.
require an opinion, but
Yeah, Jesse would be able to tell you, but I think usually it says non-binding question and then the question, yes, no.
yeah, because it really doesn't, I'm trying to figure out how to say this right. It doesn't matter to necessarily to the voter that if it's binding or not, except for it can't be, right? But it may matter in terms of the legality of the results, right?
Right.
In
terms of what we do with them after the fact, right? Like, this is binding, this isn't binding.
Truthfully, you could have 10,000 people, 9,900 say repeal it, and the council may say, yeah, after thinking about it, we don't want to.
Right, and
And
so,
that's the non-binding issue. But I
That's
think
the
for the
point, that's what I'm
council's
saying,
point,
yeah.
'cause we're just trying to get an overall feel of the town.
correct.
And what their thoughts are.
Right.
Isn't there also a ballot question from the state level coming forward in the fall
There is, that'll be in the November ballot for the state level.
to repeal the sale of marijuana?
But,
Retail sales.
but similarly at a state level,
Why do you mean?
It's a state ballot question, yes.
but similarly kind of, I think a lot of people also don't realize that the state ballot questions are pretty much all non-binding and the legislature can opt to do whatever they
We
want.
know that.
Given last year's,
Lack of audit.
It's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they're more just suggestions than they are questions, unfortunately. So I don't know if
I think we should go forwards,
I think so.
but with the caveat that we would ask a legal
Jesse to
opinion.
put
That
the,
would be a quick,
Yeah, we don't need,
question answer.
Vote on
I talk to him at least once a week, so I mean, I'll just throw that on the agenda and
And
he should
timeline
miss that.
for a non-binding question, are we still pretty much under the gun, or?
no, this one we have more time. The binding one with the charter, we had to do by kind of like March 1st or 5th or so to meet the Attorney General's timeline. As the worst case scenario, last year it ended up being quicker than the 8 weeks lead time that they normally require. But for non-binding ones, as long as it's, I think, like 30 or 60 days before the publication of the ballot, so we still have till March or April or so easily to do that.
Okay,
So we can wait definitely for a meeting or two to hammer out the language with Jesse to make sure we're good, and then we can vote on it at that time.
As I'm sitting here thinking, with the non-binding question on the ballot as well as the, the election, and then the charter question, who knows who will actually come out and vote? And I mean, I think everybody should vote, but the point is that there may be a lot of interest or discussion about the marijuana piece. We need to try to keep some information out there about our question as well, because it would be very disappointing if people got to ours and didn't even want to read it because it was too long. So I'm just thinking about who's going to come out to the ballot, to the voting booth based on what we're asking them to vote on. It'll be interesting to see the response.
Yeah, and it might be a more popular election given the variety of questions and the number of.
Glad I'm not on the ballot. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Good. Great. So we will take that up at a future meeting once we have some better direction from Jesse on that. Okay, under new business, originally we had some discussions about the time capsule, but as Tom mentioned, since Tom had unexpectedly passed, we will table that for now so that the Historical Commission and the Rotary has some time to regroup on that and figure out the next step.
We should be good for the next meeting. I've spoken to a few. We're gonna meet probably end of this week, early next week, so we should be good for the next agenda if that's okay.
Great. Okay, next was a proposed bylaw, chapter 328, right to farm, as a first reading. This was something that was proposed by Ralph. Is there any volunteer? Or do you want to first provide an overview for how we got here, Ralph?
We're not a right to farm community?
we are not a right to farm community at the moment.
I thought we were.
So what I've done is I looked at multiple towns. I believe there's 140 something towns and cities in the Commonwealth that actually have right to farm general bylaws. In essence, what it's basically saying is that under the general bylaws, the town acknowledges that they've been a farming community, they like farms in their community, they want to keep farms in their community. It basically tells people that are interested in moving into the town that, understand that there's certain inherent qualities that go with farming, whether it be some people may consider nuisances, whether it be, following a tractor down the road as the farmer goes from one field to the next at 4 miles an hour, or whether it be, them using natural or organic fertilizers with the odors. There are certain things that happen around farms. And so this basically lets people know if you're not happy with that, this may not be the community to move into because you're going to run into some of this. But it also gave some clarity as far as, hey, if you do have a problem with a farm, this is the way to go about, this is who you contact, who you file a complaint with. It also lists in here the declaration. It suggests to real estate agents to notify clients when they're moving here. But a lot of towns had penalty. Well, if you don't give your client, this particular page, the town can fine you up to $300 for not doing it. I didn't think that was right. I think it's better off requesting the agents to notify people. And again, I tried to take language from multiple, but the format, I think they basically have a set format to go through. And so I tried to keep that all the same. And it doesn't include chickens at the moment, as far as the numbers or anything. What this is basically saying is a farm as determined under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, which is basically, well, most of them are 5 acres or more, and what they're allowed to do. That's a quick overview.
Great, thanks for the overview.
Now you want me to read it?
Sure. Or we could break it up into subsections.
That was my suggestion.
So if you want to stop, I've got it in front of me.
Jim had a nice long one there, so the least I can do is take this. Okay. I move that we adopt the following. Under Chapter 328, Right to Farm, subsection 328-1, legislative purpose and intent. In East Long Meadow, where farming is an essential part of the town's history, farming continues to be a necessary and desirable activity that provides food, clean air, economic diversity, local employment, cultural and recreational activities, and open space for all citizens of our community. The purpose and intent of this bylaw is to state with emphasis the right to farm accorded to all citizens of the Commonwealth under Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, and all state statutes and regulations thereunder, including but not limited to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 3, Paragraph 1, Chapter 90, Section 9, Chapter 111, Section 125A, and Chapter 128, Section 1A. We, the citizens of East Long Meadow, restate and republish these rights pursuant to the town's authority conferred by Article 89 of the Articles of Amendment of the Massachusetts Constitution, Home Rule Amendment. This general bylaw encourages the pursuit of agriculture, promotes agricultural-based economic and employment opportunities, and protects farmlands within East Long Meadow by allowing agricultural uses and related activities to function with minimal conflict with abutters and town agencies. This bylaw shall apply to all jurisdictional areas within East Long Meadow. Subsection 328-2, farming activities, agriculture, or agricultural activities. The word farm shall include any parcel or contiguous parcels of land or water bodies used for the primary purpose of agriculture. Words farming or agriculture or their derivatives shall include but not be limited to the following: farming in all its branches and the cultivation and tillage of soil, dairying, production, cultivation, growing, and harvesting of any agriculture, aquaculture, floriculture, viticulture, or horticultural commodities, growing and harvesting of forest products upon forest land and any other forestry or lumbering operations, raising livestock, including horses, keeping horses as commercial enterprise, keeping and raising of poultry, swine, cattle, ratites, such as emus, ostriches, and rheas, and camelids, such as llamas and camels, and other domesticated animals for food and other agricultural purposes, including bees and fur-bearing animals. Farming shall encompass activities including but not limited to the following: operation and transportation of slow-moving farm equipment over roads within the town, control of pests, including but not limited to insects, weeds, predators, and disease organism of plants and animals, application of manure, fertilizers, and pesticides. Conducting agricultural-related, educational, and farm-based recreational activities, including agritourism. Processing and packaging of the agricultural output of the farm and the operation of a farmer's market or farm stand, including signage thereto. Maintenance, repair, or storage of seasonal equipment or apparatus owned or leased by the farm owner or manager used expressly for the purpose of propagation, processing, management, or sale of agricultural goods. On-farm relocation of earth and the clearing of ground for farming operations. Construction and use of farm structures and facilities for the storage of animals, waste, farm equipment, pesticides, fertilizer, agricultural products, and livestock, for the processing of animal waste and agricultural products, for agritourism, for the sale of agricultural products, and for the use of farm labor as permitted by local and state building codes and regulations, including construction and maintenance of fences. Subsection 328-3, Right to Farm Declaration. The right to farm is hereby recognized to exist within the town of East Long Meadow. The above described agricultural activities may occur on holidays, weekdays, and weekends, by night or day, and shall include the attendant incidental noise, odors, dust, and fumes associated with normal, acceptable agricultural practices. It is hereby determined that whatever impact may be caused to others through the normal practice of agriculture is more than offset by the benefits of farming to the neighborhood, community, and society in general. The benefits and protections of this bylaw are intended to apply exclusively to those agricultural and farming operations and activities conducted in accordance with generally accepted agricultural practices. Moreover, nothing in this right to farm bylaw shall be deemed as acquiring any interest in land or imposing any land use regulation, which is properly the subject of state statute, regulation, or local zoning bylaw. Subsection 328-4, Disclosure Notification to Real Estate Buyers. To allow prospective purchasers to make informed decisions prior to a real estate transaction and to promote harmony between farmers and their new neighbors after a transaction, the town of East Long Meadow requests selling landholders and or their agents and assigns provide written notice to prospective purchasers substantially as follows. It is the policy of the town of East Long Meadow to conserve, protect, and encourage the maintenance and improvement of agricultural land for the protection of food and other agricultural products and for its natural and ecological value. This disclosure notification is to inform buyers that the property they are about to acquire lies within a town where farming activities occur. Such farming activities may include, but are not limited to, activities that cause noise, dust, and odors. Purchasing and henceforth occupying land within East Long Meadow means that one should expect and accept conditions as a normal and necessary aspect of living in East Long Meadow. Written notification may occur in one of several ways, including but not limited to a disclosure form, addendum to a purchase and sale agreement, and should include an acknowledgement by the buyer that they have received notification. Subsection 328-5, Resolution of Disputes. Any person who seeks to complain about the operation of a farm may, notwithstanding pursuing any other available remedy, file a grievance with the zoning enforcement officer, Board of Health, or the town manager, depending on the nature of the grievance. The filing of the grievance does not suspend the time within which to pursue any other available remedies that the aggrieved may have. Subsection 328-6, Severability Clause. If any part of this bylaw is for any reason held to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the remainder of this bylaw. The town of East Long Meadow hereby declares the provisions of this bylaw to be severable. Other than that, there's nothing. One thing I would like to note in there is note that this is a general bylaw. It still has to meet our zoning bylaw. So if for some reason under the zoning bylaw, you're not allowed, like in, I think it's residential C doesn't allow farming. That still holds. That this doesn't change any of the zoning bylaws or any of the zoning requirements. This is basically saying, hey, we're a right to farm community. As long as it meets the zoning bylaws, then this is the standard.
Great. First reading is done. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, I guess I'm generally in favor of it, with the exception of the disclosure and notification of real estate buyers. I just find it kind of cumbersome, and I'm just questioning the practicality of it.
I think what it's doing is asking them. And that's why I refuse to put any type of penalty or anything in if you don't do it.
Not that I'm asking for a penalty, but then it goes to the question of,
How do we police it?
how do we
You don't.
say why, so,
You don't. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I think it's, if someone's looking through our general bylaws, they're gonna see that, and good real estate agents, when they go to sell a house, will want the buyer to know as much information as they can, so. Again, I think this should go to the bylaw subcommittee anyways, because I think there's a few other things within it to probably hammer out.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure there's some things that, but nothing major. There's no other questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to send the proposed bylaw, chapter 328, right to farm, to the bylaw review committee for their review and recommendation to the town council.
I'll second it.
Motion was made and seconded. And just for our clarity, this is the council's bylaw review committee, not to be confused with the 10-year bylaw review committee. Okay, if there's no other discussion, Jim,
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we had a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relative to farming, but I don't know if
So
you had,
this is,
was it the same thing or was it?
no, so this is more of a question for the council. In the process of crafting a zoning bylaw amendment with regards to agriculture and the definition of agritourism. And before I spend a month on this and complete, I was hoping to get a little bit of input. I know we have a state senate bill that's making its way through. I don't know if it'll make it to a vote or not, but it basically defines agritourism. What I've noticed is in every single town, there's different zoning requirements and language, and I'm trying to find out, I guess in general, I've talked to the chair of the planning board a little bit, what type of things we want to allow and what don't we want to allow. I mean, I think there's certain things that I would guess would go without saying, a corn maze, that's part of agritourism. You know, maybe hay rides in the fall, stuff on that idea. I think those are the easy things. I know Red Fire Farm in Granby was approved for what they called an event barn. And what that does is it allows their barn, which they're building on site, to occasionally be used for events. The events could be like hot chocolate during the hay rides, could be, you know, for their farm stand that they do. I just don't know how far we're interested in going. Do you want a list of different things? I mean, I know it ultimately comes back to us anyways, and we're gonna cross some out. I just I wanted to make sure before I got into it too much that the council was generally okay with at least looking at this and sending it to the planning board, seeing what their thoughts are and stuff.
Marilyn?
I wrote from the general bylaw that, I wrote the question, farm-based recreational activities. And that sort of triggered some thinking on my part, what does that mean? And perhaps in this bylaw, it could be more specific.
Exactly.
I don't necessarily want to see farm-related activities that resembles like a Sunny's Place in Summers. No, I'm
Yeah,
serious.
no,
I'm
I
serious.
understand what you're saying, and I agree.
You know, I don't want it to lose the flavor of a farm family atmosphere. I think when we see it, we'll know if we like it or not, when, you know, in terms of what's proposed in the bylaw. But we see what Squire Farm has done, we see what the Apple Place has done, and in my opinion, you know, they seem to satisfy what the requirements are for a farm in terms of the products that they sell, and they seem to be very successful and welcome in the community, so, you know, you might pull from those examples a little bit.
I think the main thing is, we don't want to just open it up for anything. We still want it farm-based. I think there's, the thought process out there, at least some of it, is that, hey, if I plant, you know, tomatoes, I can do whatever I want other than that. And I want to make sure that it's understood that, no, that's not accurate. But we also understand that you're not going to make a living off of, you know, a few people do, but for the most part, you can't make a living off of just growing the produce. That other things, I know years ago, Graziano Gardens asked to do in the fall cider donuts and stuff like that, and they were shot down and said, no, you can't do that. Well, I personally don't see a problem with them selling it in order to try and draw more people in to sell more mums and stuff in the fall. I just wasn't sure if that's just me thinking that or if that's in general or not.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that I think, and I'm just generally broadly in favor of giving more people autonomy over their land, and I mean, especially when it comes to farms, I agree, you're not gonna, if we want to keep the farms in town, you're not gonna keep them by just allowing them to grow a couple crops in the ground and hoping that they're financially successful over the next decades, but certainly understand that we can't go too crazy with what we permit in terms of what the definition of a farm has historically meant. But any of those sorts of accessory things that bring people in as like a event that's not necessarily the primary purpose.
Like a wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, people have farm weddings. You know, I'm not against it, you know, but I would not want to see a wedding every weekend, then it becomes a real, you know, business, I guess.
I think if we can set something up that basically mirrors a lot of what the Apple Place has done. You know, they've brought in a little bit of music and a little other events here and there. They have the corn maze.
They have some craft fairs.
Craft fairs. And again, it's all trying to get people to go to their farm to buy the different baked goods, the different products, their apples, their peaches and stuff like that. I mean, that in what, the last 15 years, 12 years, the Apple Place has completely changed from what it used to be. For the good, I think anyways. And if that's okay, like I said, I'll work on this. Do you want me to bring it back and show you this before I send it to the planning board?
I think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
And that'll give us some time too, because independently over the next few weeks, we could also kind of research
Think about it,
our ideas of what do we think agritourism and all that stuff means, because
I think the best written bylaw that I saw with agritourism was for Granville, Mass. And they broke it down to certain things that were allowed by right, and then a few things that were maybe a little over the edge that they put under special permit. like a one-time event type deal, which I thought was interesting.
Ralph and I, excuse me, I know we've talked about this. Was there some pretty good language for the bill? Was there a number on it? Was it like 3351 or?
Ooh, yes, and I have it sitting at my house.
Because I think we when we chatted about this a little bit too, we were thinking if.
So they changed the number on it.
Right.
It was like
I'm sure I didn't get the number.
3321, and
I'm
then
sure I didn't get the number.
and then they swapped it for this year. I will send it to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was just thinking for the conversation if,
So I've reached out to Senator Oliveira asking
Okay.
that he look at it, and hopefully he can support it, and
just so we don't head off in a direction that the
Oh,
state, you know what I mean?
trust me, if the state passes it, anything we do will be well within.
Okay,
You could drive a Mack truck through what they're proposing. I
Okay.
mean, anything you basically say, something farm, and it's fully allowed, which,
it seems to be happening lately. We saw it last year with the ADUs. The state is peeking around at some of these zoning things.
right,
On the local level, and so that's why I bring it up, because it is like, we keep hearing like chatter about, site plan review and all this stuff that, and obviously we already have the ADU thing, so.
Right.
But,
I mean, I'm thinking like McCrae's Farm, the haunted hay rides and stuff. East Long Meadows Haunted Hayride, I mean, I'm sure one of the farms would be able to do it. I just think there's a lot of things that we could allow that's low impact that would really help the town, and we'll see what we can put together.
and it's kind of a new thing too, right? Like the whole agritourism, so like it's happening everywhere. And
Everywhere.
Again, we don't wanna get, roller coasters,
Right.
but everybody's going to these farms to hang out and do these things, and
I
should
have,
get some rules in place for it.
Yeah,
on the East Long Meadow side, I've got 3 farms right around me.
Yeah.
And right over on the Connecticut side, there are a few more. And I'm looking at all these words thinking, why do we even need all those words? These farms are there. They're not hurting anybody. Everyone loves to have them there. But, if it comes to a point where people start to object, then maybe perhaps we need some guidelines.
And the lot size too, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
the reason we prohibit it in C is because that's the smallest required lot size, right? So you can't put a farm on a 50 by 100-foot lot, because that's not really fair to your neighbors or the neighborhood, or,
don't see anyone buying up, 30 houses to get the right acreage to put a farm in.
not likely.
And right close by, Cloverleaf Farm, that's something
Yeah.
new. And then Quarry Pond Farm is out on Summers Road. You don't know about that one?
Oh, I do, yes, I do.
Yes, you do, yes.
I do.
So,
I didn't know
they're-
that was the name
they're-
of it, though.
People with, nice sized property are developing their property in a very healthy way. It's nothing, I don't see anything wrong with it.
But I do think specific language, maybe not overly specific, but there's certain things that you need more control over. I know Hawks Landing, they went through a site plan review looking for the number of parking spaces and stuff like that, which if you're gonna have an event, you're gonna need parking. I know the Apple Place had their fall festival this year, and you can tell when it is because they're parked
All the way up Summer Road.
all the way down past Meadowbrook, almost to Meadowbrook Farm. And they get out of their car in front of Meadowbrook Farm and they walk all the way up to the Apple Place. It was a fantastic event. It's only for the weekend. I think it was a Saturday and Sunday, and the people love it. And they go back every year for it, so. I will put some stuff together for everyone.
Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
Sounds good. Okay, action items for next meeting. So far, what I have, we'll review our biannual executive session minutes. We may have pending discussions with Tom, a general overview of the budget after the level 1 submissions had happened.
Maybe not the first meeting in February.
Yeah,
Because we gotta meet,
sounds
but I'm hoping the second we'll have a pretty good picture, but the, capital.
oh, that's right, yes. But we will have the capital, the detail that I had asked for about the capital projects outstanding, their status. All right, we will have our January 13th minutes. We will possibly, either the first or second meeting, have an update about those utility pole banners for the 250th. We, whether it's the first or second meeting, we'll have some language for the non-binding question, the time capsule for next meeting. We can continue to research what we think agritourism means and our capital project status. That's what I have so far.
It's enough.
Am I missing anything?
Can we add on, it doesn't matter which meeting, but coming up, the oil recovery container at
Oh, at the
Summers Road.
Oh,
Landfill.
yes.
Transfer station, thank you. Just an update, and if we got any numbers or anything on it. And I understand that's why I haven't pushed. And
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm sure.
I'm sure someone else thanks me.
I actually instructed them to have it in their operating budget.
Perfect.
So I haven't seen it, but I have it.
Great. If there's nothing else that I'll miss, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second?
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy? I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
Aye.
And John?
Aye, aye.
Yes. Have a great night.
Aye.